So, good evening. Last week, at some point, there was some rumor coming up that there would be an announcement from Free League on Tuesday this week, and there was. And it had to do with Coriolis. Coriolis, as you might know from watching this channel, is the first Free League game I actually got into. Still standing up there. I've got all the books for it, and even had a hand in translating some old stuff, which I'll talk about in a minute. But of course, this news of a sequel, I was really keen to hear. Coriolis has got a few bumps in the rule system. There are definitely a few things where you say, oh, that's, let's say, less modern than the most recent iterations of the system, especially around the combat. And so there's a combat overhaul and all that sort of stuff. And so I was always hoping that Coriolis would get an overview, basically overhaul. And it has got that. You may know that there was an old Coriolis edition, which was a D20 system, and then the second edition is the one we currently have with the Mercy of the Icons campaign. And this third one, in a way, is going back to the roots. It is, however, a sequel. So let me talk about it. What I'm trying to do today is summarize all the things that are buzzing around my head from the various streams I've watched. There are two, basically. The Effect podcast did an interview with the guys, and there was the official Free League Lounge, which I watched also. So, I'll talk about the setting, how has the setting changed. I will talk about some of the mechanics and some other random thoughts, as usual. If you have any questions in the chat, let me hear them. I'd be very interested to see them. And if you've got any afterwards, put them in the comments, as you know. So, let's start with the setting. What's going on with the setting here? Basically, this game is going to be called Coriolis the Great Dark. So not the Dark Between the Stars or anything like this, but it is a sequel. It's set 200 years into the future after the events of Mercy of the Icons. It's going to be set in a different horizon, which they call the Lost Horizon. So it's not the first or second or third horizon, it's somewhere else. And what's special about this place is that this is basically flat space. There is the portal, there might be a portal somewhere around the starting point, but it's a dead portal. And this is a vast amount of space. And you basically are moving around in a big ship, which is essentially like an ark, you could say, or like a generation ship. And that is your community. That is your faction, whatever you want to call it. And these are big, from what they've told. And this ship basically makes its way through uncharted space, trying to pick up, to explore, to find remnants from the precursors, the builders, as they're being called. I think they might also be the founders from Rimward Reach previously. And that basically is you moving through space with a huge community, which gives you plenty of scope for intrigue and conflict, etc. What else? The events of Mercy of the Icons are essentially now legend. So some of the people will know about some of them, but basically they're the stories of a few generations ago. And what they're going for the feel is a much grittier frontier space exploration style. Yeah. So some of the inspirations that were quoted were, for example, these the Terror or Deadwood. So you want this vast expanse that you have to find your way through. You cannot rely on civilization to save you. There's not a nice pearl chain link of lots of portals taking you from one place to the other, from one civilized place to the other. This is actually meant to be you out in space. It's got a vibe of Death in Space, and that was actually name-checked as well. So exploration, expeditions into unknown space, grittier. For me, that is really a reminder of what the system was previously. So you can sort of see it in the original source book for Djachroum and the Rimward Reach. So the Rimward Reach, both Costa and Niels worked on that. And they quoted it a couple of times in the interview as well to say, oh yeah, we went for this particular feel. And then the Mercy of the Icons came along and it took it, the whole campaign on a different route. So it wasn't out there in the space, in the gritty exploration. Yeah, and I think they really sort of want to get back to that. I'm not saying necessarily that they didn't like the way that Mercy of the Icons went. I'll leave that hanging there for a moment. But it's in the interview, certainly they were more enthusiastic about what the original idea had been. Which was great to see. The guys are really cool. I met them a couple of times. So, by the way, if you want to check that out, that old one, the Rimward Reach and Djachroum, I translated that first edition source book. It's on drive-through, and it's pay what you want. So if you want to be, skimping on your money, then by all means, you can download it for free. That's what Free League back then gave me the permission to do, basically put it out for free. But there is a chance to pay what you want. So if you want to toss me a couple of bucks for the work in translating that, then that would be very welcome. So, what else do I need to tell you about this place? So what you're looking at is basically in Djachroum in the Rimward Reach, and I hope I'm not spoiling too much here. There was this, the Founders, that was basically a sect before the Portal Wars that had really tried to drive technology and research technology and try to build technology that would allow them to create new portals or jump into different places. And there are some hints in the adventures from back then, which is also the Station 18 and Lightflower Dark Leaf, that they basically managed to do this and disappeared from the Third Horizon. And they popped away. Now, my guess, and this is a pure guess, I don't have any confirmation of this, is that they basically went across to another horizon. And this is what they now called the Lost Horizon. So it's their remnants, I think, you're going to find, and possibly some portal builders. So that seemed to be hinted at as well. So I imagine that this big ship will go from ruined planet to ruined planet, will try to find resources for themselves, yeah, a bit like building better worlds in Alien, but also looking for remnants and relics and artifacts, etc., and information to solve those mysteries. So I think that's a very different feel. And it's actually pretty much exactly the feel I went for with my old Coriolis game here at the local club before Mercy of the Icons was out. That's what we were playing. We were archaeologists, and we were going from portal builders to temple to whatever else there might be, and found the Dark Between the Stars, as it was called. So I really like that vibe. Looking forward to that. One of the mysteries you might be on the traces of that was hinted at in the interview is what happened to the Nadia. Yeah, the Zenith and the Nadia were the two big ships that were sent out. Generation ships that basically took hundreds of years to get to their destination. The Nadia just disappeared, and the Zenith was then later on Coriolis space station. Right, so that's a little bit about the setting. I think the vibe, as I said, is really cool. I really look forward to that. There will be some carryover from the Third Horizon, so there will be factions in the new game, and they are sort of linked and a little bit inspired by the previous factions. And they said if you know your stuff, if you know the material, then you will be able to recognize them, but they will have shifted because the focus has been shifted. There's less religion in this, less religious focus. So, for example, the prayer mechanic is going to go. And there is one faction which I quite like, the sounds of the Coriolites, which basically revere anything that came back there from the Third Horizon of Coriolis. So the stories, the artifacts, and they might even have some of the things carried over, heirlooms as they're called. So that implies that there was a link. So people who play in this, characters who play in this game, essentially have their origin in the Third Horizon. That seemed to be the hint of it. Still no aliens. Yeah, that was pretty clear from what they were saying. It's a human-centric setting. And yeah, apart from the big ships, I forgot to say that you'll also have small shuttles that you take onto your expeditions. So you will have probably some scope there to modify them, to customize them. But I don't think it's necessarily the same as the Ark or similar, or a base in Mutant Year Zero, for example. Right. Mechanics. Let's come to mechanics. And what I know so far is very little, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. So it's going to be a typical dice pool, not step dice, but dice pool game with two sorts of dice. There will be base dice, probably linked to attribute and skill, I would guess, but base dice. And there will be gear dice, and they will make a difference. So for me, that sounds a little bit like Forbidden Lands Light. You take one of the dice out, or alternatively, the Electric State works very similar. So you probably have the mechanic, this is guesswork, has not been confirmed, of degrading gear. Yeah, especially if you're in a technology poor environment, looking after your gear will be very, very important. So if it starts breaking because you push a roll or something like this, I could imagine that mechanic working quite well. But as I said, this is guesswork. The praying mechanic will be gone, as I said, so you don't do prayers to push your rolls. There will be something called hope, and there's a hope tracker of some sort. And you basically, if you are full of hope, I guess you can push your roll. And if you're not, then you probably can't. Or if certain things happen, you might lose hope or gain hope. yeah, it's not that unfamiliar, if you like. There is a similar, again, in Electric State, in a similar mechanic. There's a similar one, actually, interestingly, in, what is it called? Dreams and Machines, which I quite like. So, what else? The guys, Costas and Niels, both Costa and Niels, said that the characters, in theory, should be compatible. You could take a Third Horizon character and put him to the Lost Horizon, or her. But there would be some tweaking required. Now, I'm not quite sure how that would work, but I'm thinking that probably the skills will be redrawn a bit. I hope so. And I hope that some of the talents will be redrawn, and possibly the progression. Although Free League typically go with progression questions, so we'll probably retain those questions of some sort. Yeah, the end of session questions to get your advancement points. Right. What else do I know about the mechanics? Very little. That's pretty much it. That's all I've found out so far. So, you might know more than I do. Right. Now, lastly, before actually I wanted you to look at the trailer with you, and that's why this thing's above me here. What is going to be in it? Let's actually look at the trailer, because I think that makes it clear. What's the content of this? So here's a trailer. Hopefully this works with the sound as well. Pretty, different font, which is a bit like first edition Coriolis font. And then here you see the rulebook and you see a box. And you see the date on Kickstarter, 19th of March. So, if I was quick enough, I would have paused it at the right moment. So you could see the box again. So let me get it to the right moment. That'll do. Pause button. So that's basically what you're going to be getting. This stuff. There. Yeah? So they're going to put the Coriolis core rules. Yeah, it's a mock-up. You don't know how big they are. The old Coriolis book is quite chunky. Let's see what this one is like. And then they are talking about making campaign boxes. Not as long and as monorail, if you like, as Mercy of the Icons. So you will be able to combine them differently, and each one is sort of a smaller story in itself. And you can chain them together, and they might reveal more about the overall mysteries of the universe, but they don't depend on each other as much. And I don't think there'll be setting changing, which is Mercy of the Icons is a little bit guilty of. The first campaign is going to be called The Flowers of Algorab, it says. And they were talking about hoping to have nice handouts in there, to have good production quality, to have maybe maps of ships. I could imagine that they do maps of like ruined things you're exploring. I think that could be quite nice, a nice little box. I like their boxes. They're always good value for money, and they really look good on the shelf, although they do take a little bit of space. Yeah, I'm running out of shelf space up here. So I might have to get rid of something. So they also said that on the 19th of March, Kickstarter is going to start, and relatively during the Kickstarter, that's what they said, there would be a quick start available. Now, I'm really keen to play that. So much so that there's this other thing that I'm trying to do, which is a charity stream for March for Kids. I talked about it in my last channel update. And if it comes out in time, I'll put on a impromptu stream of this for this charity stream, definitely. Even if it's just a one-shot. Yeah, so if you want to play and you're interested in that sort of thing, and can't promise when it comes out, of course, but I would hope that during March we would hopefully be able to play this. So, VTT, big question for me as well, because I like my VTTs. You will know that if you know this channel. In the interview, they said they would be looking to get some VTT support. However, they were not actually committing to anything. So Foundry might be a strong candidate, because this is a sort of very similar, I guess, to the old Coriolis or the current Coriolis system. So that there will be some, let's say, crunch in it. Alchemy, I'm a big fan of Alchemy as well. They're currently partnering with Alchemy, and Alchemy have this way of ingesting content and tweaking it, and they've got a good relationship with Free League so far, so that might happen as well. Roll20 was mentioned, but there was slightly less enthusiasm for it, I think, in the interview. Watch the interviews yourself. And Fantasy Grounds didn't get a mention. So, not saying yay or nay, of course, because they didn't commit to it, but I'm sure it'll come out during the Kickstarter. I would be really happy to have a Foundry system for this, because Foundry is just the best. Right. Licenses. Licenses are an interesting thing. when I talk about licenses, I mean, what's going to happen to the Third Horizon? From what I gather, they are not going to publish anything anymore for the Third Horizon. They say, okay, the story is there, but it's a playground, so you can still use it. You can still play in it. Your stories can be told in it. The rule system doesn't go away. Play it, use it. But this is something that applies for both of these. They will also create a fan licensing model like they did for Dragonbane. So it's very, very open. So you can just basically create your own stuff with supplement 4, yeah, according to the license. And you can use the setting information, you can use the mechanics and all that sort of stuff. But you can't change the mechanics. Yeah, you can extend them, I think, but you can't change them. So it's the same license as Dragonbane. And I think that would actually potentially unleash quite a bit of marketplace creativity. Yeah, that's such a nice and open license like they've done before. They just need to make sure it doesn't just cover one language. Because I think in Germany, for example, they're still hesitating on Dragonbane because the license specifically said English-speaking content. So hopefully they're going to get on there. And on the stream, in the Free League Lounge, they actually didn't pick up the question of have they engaged any publishing partners in other countries, because Uhrwerk and Germany are definitely keen, I think, to do this. So that would be what I was going to say on licensing. So what do you think? Is this an update that excites you? Is this something that might be a good moment to actually jump onto Coriolis? Because I think some of the books are now hard to get. I think it might be. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, to get back into Coriolis with it, because Mercy of the Icon, I've got them all here. We played the first book and I never quite had the energy to play the second and the third. So I might still do that, but we'll see. But I really loved the old stuff. Yeah, so the first edition, I really mean the first edition, the Jan Ringen edition of Coriolis. I liked the adventures for that. There's one from Moja Fridtjofsen, I think she's called, which is Ice Cold Inferno. And I think she did another couple. So if you're wanting to get the feel for what I think they're heading for, check out Drive Through, look for the old stuff. Yeah, there's some really cool stuff in there. So, yeah, questions. If you have anything, let me know in the chat. As you can see, I've got some watchers. Hello, great to see you. But let's hear what interests you. What do you want to find out? What do you want to hear? And I might just take that moment to do a little bit self-promotion. How dare I? And that is... get rid of this picture for a moment. Oh, it's a bit small, isn't it? So this booklet here, I think it came to 64 pages in the end or something. Oh, I'm messing it up now. Is something you can get on Drive-Thru. Yeah, or as good old pay what you want. Yeah, I really messed it up now. And it is a really cool source book. Yes, I mean, the rules, I didn't make all the characters new, I didn't change all the characters around, but you've got everything you need in it. And because of Free League being really nice, they did allow me to use the old artwork for this. So it's there. It's currently a silver seller, not far away from being more than silver. What comes after that? Gold, I think. So if you want to go and grab it. Free or toss me a couple of bucks. Very happy to do that. So finally then, no questions? No questions from the chat? Well, put them in the comments afterwards. I am really getting close to the 1,000 subscribers on this channel, which would be great to achieve, wouldn't it? By the end of the month, maybe? That would be really cool. Then I'll have to think of something special. Maybe the something special will be to run a one-shot, or maybe 2 one-shots of the new Coriolis. That would be cool. Anyway, I hope to see you all soon. Yeah? Tune in again. Leave your questions. I'll try to find out the answers for you. And I hope to see you all soon in Coriolis the Great Dark, or in other games. Yeah, we play plenty. Speak to you soon.